Welcome to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Being visible as a soul-led business owner isn't just about the practical strategies, marketing tips, and tech systems. It's also about the internal systems, the safety of your nervous system, the somatic connection, and the embodiment of being a badass CEO that will support you in all of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And I'm here to share all of that with you on this show. I'm your host, Shawnee Arsenault, a registered nurse turned visibility coach and business mentor for heart-centered coaches and healers. I created a six-figure coaching practice in my first year of business and scaled to multiple six figures my second year, all in the middle of getting pregnant with my first baby and becoming a new mama. If I can do this entrepreneurship thing, I know you can too. If you're ready to learn how to be a CEO in a way that feels aligned with your heart, become a lighthouse for the people that you're meant to serve, feel free to authentically express yourself and be a magnet for success, and grow your coaching business in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, I can't wait to be in your ear along for the ride. All right, I am trying out a new setup here. I feel like a hot mess because all weekend, my son was sick with a stomach bug, and it was his birthday this weekend. He turned 2 this weekend, and I was so excited to do some fun activities and open his presents and just, yeah, because I wasn't actually here with him for his first birthday. I was on a retreat and I had to miss his first birthday. You know, I'm not one of those people who really cares too much about like the first few birthdays just because they're not going to remember it. But I was really excited to be here for his birthday this year and be able to celebrate. And we did not get to do that because, yeah, he was throwing up and had a lot of GI issues going on. It was just a really nasty, nasty stomach bug. And he still kind of has it today. My husband ended up leaving work early and he's downstairs with him. I was with him all day today, the day that I'm recording this. And all I did today was snuggle my little guy and we just watched some movies. We ate a lot of crackers. Like he just hasn't really had that much of an appetite. So it's been kind of a miserable weekend, but I want to talk about, I don't know, what it feels like to be visible and feel like it's fake. And this is something that myself and my clients always try to avoid, right? Like I always try to avoid feeling fake because I can tell whenever somebody is marketing or whenever somebody's showing up online, I can tell when it's not genuine. At least like I just have that intuitive like feeling. And you all likely can identify people that you've seen online that do that too. Or maybe you can admit when you feel like you're being fake. Like I know that there are a lot of times where things are happening in my life that are feeling messy and I intentionally don't show it to the world. And I want to talk to you guys today about honoring your body's cues when your content just like isn't vibing, whenever you're sitting down to create and it's not vibing. And I want to share with you guys how you can start to create marketing that actually feels like you. You know, we all know that like ick feeling. We've all maybe felt it, but we haven't always been able to put words to it. That ickiness when something just like doesn't feel right. There's something off about it. Maybe it is a vulnerable share, or maybe it feels like something personal, but there's something weird about it. Even if it's well done, something's just not right. Uh, and that is what fake feels like. So I'm not here to call anyone out. I do this all the time too, right? Like it's just an invitation for all of us to tune in to your body as a compass for alignment in content creation, not just when creating it, but also when consuming it too. We're not here to judge anyone because we're all human, right? There are always pieces of ourselves that we feel like we have to hide. We're not here to judge any of that. We are here to just notice it. The prompt here for me recording this episode is I spent the majority of my weekend covered in vomit and poop, and it was not one that I would really want to show online. It's not a side of motherhood that I find really exciting. And honestly, a lot of times whenever I do share about motherhood, I tend to get a lot of people in my DMs offering to support me, offering advice that is unsolicited, or I tend to get, people from my past or my family or people that know me on a personal level and not really in business, and they get worried about me. And so a lot of times I gravitate towards just not sharing it, which is within my rights as a human being, right? Like nobody deserves to know anything about my life unless I choose. But posting otherwise, right? Like posting just like regular content that I would post, like talking about my offers, that kind of stuff just doesn't feel in alignment to be sharing while I'm also going through like a big, messy, part of life. And I will say, some of the things that inspire me to share some of those really raw moments are seeing other people's really raw, messy moments. I get super inspired by seeing other entrepreneurs, other women, other moms share the messy side of things because it also helps me feel like I'm not alone. And so a lot of times whenever that messy stuff does start to happen, my instinct is to pull away and to not share it and to hide those parts of my life so that nobody sees them. But then I constantly remind myself that like this is the messy stuff that people want to see. This is the messy stuff that people need to see because I'm I'm one of those people that needs to see it, you know? And I think we really do need to move away from that need to be perfect, that need to have everything all together all the time. I consider myself someone who is pretty well established in my business. And there's this perception that I know people have of me that, like, oh my gosh, I have everything together. I have all these like amazing systems in place. I have, you know, I show up so easily. And like, yes, but then also there's so much of my life that is a hot fucking mess. A hot mess. I had to cancel a session today and move it to another day because my kiddo is sick. And, I don't have any shame in asking my clients to give me grace whenever things like that happen. Many of them are mamas too, so many of them get it. But like content like that really does inspire me. Content that shows the imperfections, the chaotic seasons of life. And whenever I see that picture perfect stuff circulating around social media, it just gives me that like, ugh, no thanks, kind of feeling in my body. So I actually want to talk a little bit about that, like how fake shows up in your body. Your body can detect like that energetic misalignment before your brain even makes sense of it, right? Before your brain identifies, hey, this doesn't feel right. So fake energy for me, it kind of feels like it's a tense jaw, right? I notice myself like furrowing my brow a lot, like, and it's sometimes subconscious. I'm not always aware that I'm doing it, but whenever I do recognize it, that's usually the face that I'm making is like that furrowed brow. It's just like an internal ew. I don't know how else to describe it. It's like an internal squint kind of that urge to just scroll past really quickly. That's how I know that I'm interacting with content that doesn't feel genuine, that feels fake. And that's how I know that I'm creating content that feels not genuine, right? I'm always very somatically aware whenever I'm trying to create content because I don't want to come off that way. Like a huge part of my values as a business owner is being authentic, being genuine. And so whenever I can feel that I'm not being true, it's a big indicator for me to either take a pause or take a break or change directions, maybe even unplug. And it's not always logical, right? Sometimes the most perfect content still doesn't pass your body's vibe check. It could be the most eloquently worded post. It could be the most amazing reel that you've ever created. And it still doesn't pass the vibe check. I've created so much content that just sits in my drafts because it doesn't feel right to post it, right? Like posts that I've spent hours on, posts that I've come up with like really creative ideas for, and then I end up never sharing it because it's like, actually, this doesn't feel in alignment for me to share. This feels fake. And so resonant marketing, resonant content, showing up and being visible in a way that feels good, that feels in alignment, right? Just like you can feel fake, you can also feel that realness. You can also feel that genuine energy. And often it feels like relief is the best word that I can use to describe it. Signs of like genuine resonant content for me is content that makes me smile often, both from other people and in myself. If I'm looking at something that I've created myself that I'm going to put out there into the world and I'm smiling and it's giving me all these like warm, fuzzy feelings and, it's transporting me back to whatever memory is popping up. That's a sign that that is resonant content that I'm about to share. My breath tends to deepen, my shoulders drop. I feel grounded, I feel centered, I feel emotionally moved a lot of the time. It feels like someone is speaking with me. Like if I'm consuming content and it's hitting home, it's speaking to my heart. I feel like I'm sitting there having a conversation and I'm getting to know that person. Same thing with whenever I'm creating genuine content. I feel like right now, I feel like I'm talking to a friend. I don't feel like I'm being fake. I feel like I'm just capturing like my current human experience today. Today I'm recording this. It's April 28th, 2025. And this is how I am right now. This is exactly a snapshot of my emotional state. And I don't feel like I'm putting on a performance. And I don't feel like I'm talking at people, right? Whenever I interact with content from others that feels genuine, I don't feel like they're talking at me. I feel like they're having a conversation with me, right? Like sitting down, drinking a cup of coffee, having a conversation, even if they're not speaking. It doesn't feel rushed. It doesn't feel desperate. It doesn't feel like a performance. So I would love for you guys to reflect here just for a moment on like what is a piece of content that made you feel safe, seen, or spacious this week? What about it resonated with you? Maybe it's one that you wrote, maybe it's a post that you created, some content that you created, or maybe it's a piece of content that you consumed from somebody else. But I would love for you guys, maybe this can be a nice little journal prompt for you guys after you listen to this episode, but think about something this week that you came across on your feed or that you created in your mind, maybe put to paper, maybe posted out there for the world to see that felt safe, that felt spacious, that felt like relief, and it didn't feel fake, you know? Because identifying patterns in what types of content make you feel that way, what types of mediums you are using to create content make you feel that way. That's really helpful information to know for the future of your business, for the future of your marketing strategies. Okay, so now this is the part where it might be a little bit controversial to talk about this, but there is like we all know sales psychology, right? We all know that urgency, FOMO, that kind of messaging can cause a lot of hype. But for me, there are pieces like I do believe that urgency, like that is helpful in some instances, but only if it feels genuine. You know what I mean? I feel like urgency, it can look good, but it can feel manipulative a little bit if it's not rooted in truth, right? If you're like, let's say, for example, you're filling a group program and you've got, you know, 6 spots and you've got 1 spot filled. You don't want to go out there and say, "Hey, I only have 1 spot left." Like that feels manipulative. That doesn't feel rooted in truth. A more aligned way to say the same thing to illustrate the same kind of urgency is, there are limited spots available and the doors close this date, right? That's very different from lying to your audience and saying you only have 1 or 2 spots left when you really have like 6 or 7. I mean, I do think urgency is necessary. I don't always think that fear is necessary, though. Like causing people to fear missing out, to have that FOMO, using fear tactics, using really like aggressive language that will make people afraid that they will experience something bad if they don't buy right now. And there is a way that we can express urgency in a way that feels aligned, but urgency can often be fear in a pretty dress, you know? And look, there are some businesses that this really works for. Okay. I'm not judging marketing tactics for all these businesses because I mean, running a business, like you do have to make money. But examples of ways that I've seen that fake energy come through by way of fear tactics, FOMO, fear of missing out. If I'm constantly seeing that like constant pressure to buy now or they're missing out, I think there is such a thing as overusing scarcity language, overusing scarcity language that feels aggressive, copycat launches that mirror somebody else's. Like if you are not launching in a way that feels really good for you, this is something I work on with my clients all the time, is launching in a way that feels good for you, at the pacing that feels good for you, giving yourself as much spaciousness as you need to make it a really good launch. And I don't mean good launch in that like you meet your revenue goals and whatever. I'm talking about energetically having a good launch. Like it doesn't take a lot out of you. It feels good for you to actually put it out there into the world. Now, yes, I think signing clients and building up that revenue stream and having that monetary validation from the universe is always a great thing. But I also don't think that that indicates a good launch. I think energetically, if you feel good about it, if you feel good creating the marketing for it, if you don't feel pressured, that's also a good launch, right? I also think that examples of fake that can come from fear is like trying to sound too professional instead of personal. So, like trying to position yourself as an expert too much, it can kind of give off that like fake vibe. If I'm constantly seeing like hyper curated reels that feel kind of hollow behind the scenes, like that's the word that came up for me whenever I was reflecting on this, was like that hollow, empty feeling. There's no emotion behind it. There's no substance to it. I find that a lot of my content at the beginning of my business felt kind of like this because I didn't really know how else to be, and I didn't realize at the time that I was, you know, not really being as genuine as I could have been. But I was so excited about launching my business and I wanted it to be successful so bad that I did the copycat thing. I pulled from other people's successful content and used it to inspire my own, and it never felt like it fit right. And then I'm going back on some of my reels sometimes and I'm like, what was I even talking about? What was I even saying? What was the point of this? And so if it doesn't feel purposeful, that can also be an indicator that it is more on the fake energy side. Now, I did a whole nother episode on creating content that feels like you, I think. So this is just going to be kind of an overview of that, a really like condensed version of what I talked about in that episode. But real content is energetic. There's a really strong energetic component to it. People feel your presence. People feel your presence more than the polished, perfect version of you. It's about being present. Your energy always goes ahead of you. So, another little reflection prompt for you here, if it feels helpful to maybe journal on this or just think about some of these questions. When do you feel the most connected to your audience? The most connected that I feel to my audience is whenever I am sharing something really vulnerable and whenever I am making really aligned invites. So, whenever I am showing people my life, whenever I am talking about the messiness of motherhood, whenever I am showing people a little bit behind the scenes of my office and how messy it is, whenever I am making a really aligned invite, I actually do feel really connected to my audience whenever I offer free resources to them, whenever I offer mini sessions, whenever I am doing what I can to truly connect and put offers out there without expecting that people are going to grab them. You know what I mean? Another question I have is, what content feels fun and true to you whenever you create it? I love making lip sync videos. I love reels are my jam. I love reels. I'm always into like learning about how to make reels better, and it's like a creative outlet for me. Some people don't like reels. Some people don't like video content. Some people love to write. So what content feels fun for you? What kind of content feels exciting and true to your energy? And then the last question I want you guys to reflect on here is, where do you notice yourself trying to sound like somebody else, or more professional than necessary, or like you're trying to exert your authority in your field, in your niche? Just a reminder here, your people don't want to feel like they're watching a performance. They want to feel like they're getting to know the real you. The way that I am on this podcast is the way that I am on all of my calls with all of my clients. It's the way that I am with my husband, with my son. It's just me. Like, I don't feel like I'm putting on any kind of front, no matter who I'm in front of. People want you to be present. And so that's what builds real connection. So if you think about the way that you are in your content versus the way that you are in your real life, do they match up? Do they align with each other? And if they don't, that can be an indicator that there are parts of yourself that you're likely trying to hide. And you can have a visibility strategy that's solid, right? You can hire the most experienced business mentor, the most experienced coach, and grab their strategy or have them customize a strategy for you. But I, I really think that energetic alignment matters more than strategy alone. Like, they have to work together. When you're showing up as yourself, whenever your energy is clean, whenever you aren't manipulated so much by the noise that's out there, the right people tend to find you easier. They have an easier time finding you. There's a spiritual element to this a little bit. When you trust yourself enough to be real, to be you, you open that space for aligned clients to come to you. And not everyone will vibe with you, and that is completely okay. I don't really want everybody to vibe with me. That's the point. If you're trying to appeal to everyone, you're going to water yourself down, and you're going to be working with clients who aren't your dream clients. I've it's taken me, what, 4 years to finally feel pretty dialed in on who my dreamiest clients are. And I gotta say, every client that I've worked with in the last, like, couple of years has been dreamy, right? They've been my dream clients. I've been so honored to work. I mean, I've been honored to work with everybody that I've worked with, but it is really cool to see the growth of your business as you really dial in who you are meant to help. And so it's a matter of trusting that your authentic frequency is what is going to attract those aligned, dreamy clients to you. You don't have to convince them to work with you. You don't have to perform at all. Like, your energy is what they're paying for. Your energy is what makes people want to be around you, what makes people want to be supported by you and learn from you, be mentored by you. And so I want to offer this kind of challenge of, like, you don't have to make content that you think your audience is going to like. You are allowed to make content that you like first, that feels good to you first. Most of the time, that's the content that I'm making, is content that I feel good about. Like, not that I don't care about my audience and what they like, but that's not the priority, right? The priority is really expressing myself, because, like, I am my best marketing tool, me, my personality, who I am as a human being, not words that are curated from ChatGPT, right? And honestly, this isn't just a marketing lesson. This is a life lesson too. Fake can be really prominent in the marketing world and in, online coaching spaces and stuff like that. But I also think that if you've ever come across someone in your personal life that feels fake, right? Or that you feel fake around, this also applies to that. And, like, we can tell whenever somebody's being fake with us, and we crave realness in our actual relationships outside of our businesses. We crave realness, we crave truth. The real magic is in the mess, just like I was talking about at the beginning of this episode about my son's second birthday. I imagined this, like, picture perfect weekend. We were gonna go take pictures. We were gonna, the weather was actually beautiful this weekend. I was gonna put him in a cute little outfit, and pose him with some balloons. It was going to be so great. And the reality was, doing 7 loads of laundry, lots of cuddles, and a lot of worry. I was emotional a lot of the weekend because I hate seeing my son sick, and it was just really heartbreaking to me to see him in pain, to see him uncomfortable and not feeling well, and knowing that there wasn't much I could do other than, just kind of help manage his symptoms and wait for it to pass. We didn't get to make a cake. We didn't even open his presents. Just we were just being there for him, both my husband and I. And we were exhausted, but I also felt my heart like cracking wide open for him with love. It made me so grateful that I was able to, cancel one of my sessions today and spend all day on the couch with him watching movies and snuggling. Definitely wasn't the weekend that I planned, that I wanted. It wasn't the birthday that I wanted for him. It was messy, it was raw, it was so tender for both of us, and somehow it was exactly right. It was something that I realized, like, the magic of this weekend, even though it was miserable for him, for us, it was stressful as fuck. But none of those moments were curated. The moments where we did get to just snuggle with him and all he wanted was us. All he wanted was to be around us. It just felt so real to me. The love that me and my little family unit had for each other there. And those are the moments where the magic happens, not the perfectly curated photo shoots, and like that's not where magic is. The magic is I'm not going to remember those picture perfect moments. I'm going to remember these. And isn't that the same thing that we crave online too? Not the perfectly scripted content, not the like polished, like, look how amazing I am moments, but the ones where we can feel someone's real heart, even through the mess. Being real as an entrepreneur, it's not always glamorous. It's not pretty, but it is magnetic. It does draw people in so much more effectively than any kind of fake scripting or strategy could. And your safe energy, your truth, your presence, that's what people remember. That's what people remember both in your business and in your life. So, again, just some questions for you to chew on after you finish this episode. Like, where in your life are you trying to make your business picture perfect, Pinterest worthy, right? Instead of real, raw, authentic, genuine, vulnerable. And then also, I want you to acknowledge, where are you already showing up in ways that are deeply resonant, that are deeply nourishing to your audience and for you, even if it's not perfect. These podcast episodes are so fun for me to make because I love talking. I love sharing. Like, it just doesn't feel as natural for me to write. I do like to write whenever I'm in the mood for it, but most of the time I love speaking. I love talking. I like just having conversations. I'm sure I've mentioned this in a previous episode too, but my husband always makes fun of me because if we go a while without having like a really deep conversation about something, like, I'm getting antsy, I'm getting irritated. So these podcasts actually serve that purpose for me of being able to connect with all of you who are listening in a really deep way. And by the time, sometimes I get people who listen to this podcast that I don't even know. And whenever we do get connected and we do hop on a call or something like that, or we do end up working together, it feels like that relationship is so deep and so intentional already because I've been able to connect with you guys in this vulnerable way. So, to recap a little bit, to kind of give you this last reminder before I let you guys go, is you. You are your safest marketing strategy. Your authentic energy, the person that you are underneath all of the titles that you wear, all of the roles that you play. Like, you don't need to fake anything to be worthy of being seen. Your truth is enough. Your softness is powerful, and your body knows. Your body knows when it's right to share and when it isn't. if something doesn't pass your body's vibe check, you don't owe it an explanation. You don't owe it to the world to share it. All right. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you guys to tell me. I love getting DMs from people who listen to my podcast and resonate. And if a message really hits home and they have their own story around it, I absolutely love hearing those stories. So feel free to send me a message and let me know what hit home here. And for those of you who are looking for deeper support with visibility, I have an awesome free resource called the Visibility Roadmap. It kind of walks you through from start to finish. Okay, how can I start to be visible in a way that feels in alignment with me? So I don't even start with strategy. I start with somatic work. I start with that like somatic awareness of what does being true to myself feel like in my body. And then we kind of move into strategy. So it's a really awesome free workbook. I'll link that in the show notes for you guys. And I want you to scroll on your feed today and notice like which posts make you light up, which posts make you smile, get those warm, fuzzy feelings, which posts make you feel expansive and spacious, and then which ones feel a little bit forced, which ones feel fake, which ones make you furrow your brow and kind of question like, I don't know about that. And then what would it feel like for you to create content for you to post whenever it feels like a yes in your body? All right. I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a beautiful day. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this was helpful for you, subscribe to the show to make sure you're always in the loop when a new episode is out. And I would love to invite you to join me in the free Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, where we hang out and chat about all things visibility, tech, systems, and heart-centered business building. I regularly share tips and tutorials and go live every now and then, and it's just nice to be in a community with other like-minded coaches and healers. So you can join this free space at alignwellco.com/community, and I can't wait to see you there.